Hey everybody, hope everybody's doing well and hope everybody's healthy and happy and content in their journey in life. And just thought I'd come online again and as I told you before, I'm going to try to get on a little bit more. While I'm off, I'm still off for a couple more weeks, so thought I'd come online and just share a little bit of, a little bit with you and just want to ask you a question. Do you ever get tired of making decisions and doing the same thing over and over again and you find it doesn't work? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to try something different? Many times, on my walk and my journeys, I've made some, like I've shared with you, some bad decisions, and some of them have come back and bit me in the, but I came to a place where I had to take a look and think, you know what? A lot of these choices and these decisions I was making aren't working. So what is it that I need to do to change that? A lot of the stuff I learned over the years and learned it, in my recovery or my treatment, some of them were good, some of them weren't. A lot of the things I learned is that when I had struggles in my life or difficulties and the stress built up, the first thing I would do is I would turn to alcohol. I always thought well, if I can just get away for the day or the night or the week or whatever it was, that everything will get better. But when I came down and got sober, the problems were still there and I had to deal with them. And a lot of times I didn't know how to deal with them. Um, a lot of the times I substituted it for alcohol. You know, that's how I dealt with my problems as a kid until I got older. The same thing. And then I just had to take a look in the mirror and say, this is not working. I got to try something else. Um, a lot of times in my life, if I don't have the answers, now I just look and try to find the answers. I talk to people, I pray, you know, I read God's word and just see what's in store for me. A lot of times we just got to stop and be still. Go to some quiet place like the ocean or wherever it is that gives you peace and joy and just sit there and listen to the birds and look at the trees and the wind blowing or whatever the sounds are that you're there. And just be still and let God speak to us or whoever it is that you believe in at this point in time in your life. And just reflect on those things and try to come to an understanding or some conclusion of why you deal with those things. And see if you can come up with a plan to try something different. A lot of times I've shared in my other videos, a lot of times we isolate ourselves and we don't say anything to anybody. We just live with that pain and those bad choices all by ourselves. And a lot of times I've found later on in my life, if I spend more time with people, I started to realize that I wasn't the only one going through those problems and that there's tons of other people. And during that, I learned that, first of all, I'm not the only one. And second of all, I just listen to them. And sometimes there's things that they do in their life to make that difference so that they will make the right choices and not keep making the same mistakes over and over again. So a lot of times we think that we have to have all those answers. But sometimes we just need to take baby steps. First, we acknowledge that we have those problems. That's the biggest thing. I isolate myself when I get stressed out, or turn to alcohol, or I turn to pornography, or I turn to drugs, or whatever it is, sex, or whatever it is that you think's feeling that void in your life. And a lot of times it really is superficial, and it's not the answer. So I just came to a place in my life where, if first of all I acknowledge those things, what they were. If I was struggling with anger or unforgiveness, I would say it. And then a lot of times I would just stop, and I would just be silent, and I would pray about them or do whatever I could and just sit and listen. A lot of times I'd go talk to somebody. Maybe there's something that I'm not understanding that I may be able to understand. But a lot of times I learn that God doesn't always give us all the answers that we think that we need or we want. Sometimes it takes years later before we get that answer. I mean, there's things in my life that I just finally realized in my 60s. And I think, well, Lord, why did you show this to me in my 60s? This is something that I should have learned as a kid. But that's fine. God is who God is, and there's a reason why he does the things that he does, and we just have to be patient and realize that life's a journey, and not everybody's going to get to the same place at the same time, or it just takes time. We are not going to get all the answers that we want right away. Sometimes God holds those things back for a reason. Maybe it's because we can't handle them, or we're not strong enough. So he gives us little bits and pieces that he knows that we need for right now. And then when the time comes, if we seek him, he'll give us the answers. It may not always be the answer that we want, but he'll give us the answers. And we just got to be open and humble ourselves and be still and listen to what it is he has to say to us. And if it's something that we need to change in our life, then we need to change it. Nobody said it's going to be easy. There's some hard decisions that we're going to have to make, but most of the time they're good decisions. We have to learn to make healthy decisions and healthy choices. Some of us take longer than others, but as long as we're striving for that, it doesn't matter how long it takes. We will get there eventually. We just got to be patient. So that's something that I had to learn because I was a perfectionist. I had to be perfect in everything I did, whether it was being a parent or at my job or sports or whatever it was. I had to be perfect at it. It's all or nothing. And we can't do that when it comes to God. We can surrender everything. But there's a season for everything in our life. And God's the one it's in his timing, not ours. So we just have to be patient. But I have to remind myself that when there is something that I think that I need to learn to deal with, then I have to say it. I have to speak it. It's very important to acknowledge that, Lord, I have unforgiveness in my life. Or, Lord, I have anger issues. Or I have resentment. It's important, or like I said earlier, I'm an alcoholic, or I'm a drug addict, or I'm addicted to pornography, or I have an eating disorder. But a lot of us just don't want to take the time to work on it. We think that, we're like this, we'll never change. Just because we're 50, 60, 70 doesn't mean we can't change. There's always hope, and there's always time for change. And it doesn't always have to be a horrible thing. I mean, we can learn stuff when we're 70. We can learn stuff from younger people, us older people. But we got to be willing to be open to it. We got to be willing for change. And that's something that's hard for a lot of us to do because we're so used to being a certain way and dealing with things a certain way that when it comes time to realize that we got these issues that we got to deal with, it, wow, some of us get hit right smacked in the face, and some of us just go on our merry way, never making any changes. And I think the biggest problem with that is that it just doesn't affect us. It affects everybody around us. Our kids, our neighbors, our co-workers, our friends. Anybody that we come across with in our daily life. It's based on how we handle things. The stresses of life or whatever happens in our life. I had two parents that didn't want to deal with anything. Didn't want to deal with nothing. So what do? They just passed on all the crap to the kids, to us. But I just made a conscious decision that, I was going to change that. I wasn't going to be like my parents. And that I was going to deal with everything that I needed to deal with. And what's so sad is that people don't want to deal with anything, so they miss out on life. Families, brothers aren't talking to brothers. Kids aren't talking to their parents. And sometimes those kids aren't talking to their parents because the parents won't realize that all they got to do is say they're sorry for the things they did to their kids and make amends. A lot of times as parents, we think that, we did nothing wrong. So if your child comes to you and says, Mom, Dad, this kind of stuff that happened when I was a kid hurt me, we need to listen to them. It's very important to stop as a parent and listen to your kids and take in everything they say. And if there's any truth to it, then be man and woman enough to deal with it and say you're sorry, and just don't make it something that just, no feeling, no nothing. Mean it and make those changes that you need to change to do. Lord knows if my mother did that with me when I was younger, then that would have changed my life forever. It would have made a big difference in my life. But you have some parents and some kids that don't talk to their parents for no reason. A misunderstanding or something. But instead of going and talking to them and trying to do something about it, they do nothing. So what do? They don't talk to their parents, then they end up having kids, and the kids don't talk to the grandparents, and on it goes. If there's a reason why they don't talk to the grandparents, then we need to deal with it and talk about it and try to change that. And if there's anything in the son or daughter's life that they need to change, or in the daughter-in-law or son-in-law, then we need to all come together and try to change those things. Life's too short. Life's too short to keep passing this stuff on from one generation to the next. My mother had siblings she never talked to. My dad had siblings he never talked to. I don't know some of my cousins because of all this. I got a niece and nephews, 2 nephews I don't talk to because of all this stuff. Life's too short, people. We need to come together and sort these things out, because when they're dead, it's too late. You can't change it. So we need to deal with these things. I was talking to an old lacrosse buddy the other day. Same thing with his family. It's just sad to see this over something stupid that could be changed in a second if people would just come together and stop their stupidity and their stubbornness and their pridefulness and deal with the problems. Because at the end of the day, when these people are gone, those words you said or the words you didn't say, you can't take them back and you can't give them because it's too late. They're gone. I have friends that I don't even talk to anymore. And it hurts because I love them. They were like my brothers, but I'm trying to do everything I can to rectify it. But, as long as we make an effort, people, as long as we make an effort to try and reach out, and if there's anything that we got to own, then own it and say you're sorry. And whatever they do is up to them. At least you can go to bed at night and look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, I tried. I did everything I could to make amends. But the rest is up to them, and they'll have to answer for it when it's all over. But at least you did your part. But it's sad because there's so many families out there that don't talk to their parents, or, if you have to set boundaries up, that's fine. You got to do what you got to do. But like I said earlier, if there's any parents out there, own your stuff. Own it. Because you're only here for a short time. And you can't take back anything you said or you did. And it would mean the world to your kids. It could change their life if you just acknowledge what you did and say you're sorry. It'll make a big difference in their life. I know it would have made a big difference in my life. But it is what it is. That's why I come on here to talk about these things. Because when they're gone, it's too late. My mother took a lot of stuff to her deathbed because she didn't want to deal with it. She didn't want to acknowledge the things that she did to me as a kid. She made me feel like it didn't happen and that I'm just making it up. So, Christmas is coming. It's the time of year where family, what it's all about, and friends. Put aside all your nonsense. Some of it may be legit, like I said. As kids, if there's something you've done to your parents and you need to apologize. Parents, same thing with you. Nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles. Because at the end of the day, when you're down at the graveyard and you're looking at their tombstone, it's too late then. You can't change it. You can't bring it back. So the thing is that we need to deal with it now. Because life's so precious. You only got one life to live. And you could be here today and gone tomorrow. So I try to make it a priority in my life to let everybody that's in my life know that I care about them. And that they're important. And that's all that matters. Because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, that's all you can do. I got a brother that I don't even talk to. It's not my choice, it's his choice. So I'm hoping and praying that I'll be able to get enough courage and go knock on his door and just tell him I love him. That's all that matters to me. Letting him know that I care and I miss him. Because, we're not getting any younger. He could be gone tomorrow. He's got kids that I don't even know, and I hope they know that I love them. I've hardly ever met them, but they're still family and I still love them. So that's why it's important to me that the nieces and nephews that I have now, I make sure that they know that their uncle cares and that he's there for them. And I also tell my kids that we all got to stick together. They have to stick together. Your cousins, we all have to stick together because I'm not going to be here forever, and it's going to give me great joy knowing that when I'm gone, that they're going to take care of each other. That's all that matters, people, that we take care of one another. Forget about all the nonsense. He said this or she said that. It doesn't matter. Find out for yourself if it's true or not. Don't listen to what other people say. It's just gossip. It might not be true. So you need to find out for yourself. Go talk to them. Clear the air. It could be something stupid, a misunderstanding, or something. But at the end of the day, when it's all over and they're not here anymore, saying you're sorry is too late. So, I don't know if I'm going to be on here before Christmas, but, my prayer is that everybody has a great Christmas and it's full of joy and love and family stuff, creating memories, because that's all what Christmas is about, and celebrating our Lord's birth. Those are the important things. And if you don't have a lot of money and you can't buy gifts, don't worry about it. Just spend time with your family. And if you have to have a peanut butter and jam sandwich, have a peanut butter and jam sandwich together. As long as you're together, who cares? That's all that matters, people. And you take the time to say Merry Christmas to your neighbor, or somebody on the street, or wherever it is, at work, or you show some kindness. That's all that matters. Nothing else matters. So, my prayer for you is that you feel the love of God's loving arms around you, and that you have a peaceful, joyous Christmas, and you create some beautiful memories, and that you feel God's presence in your life. That's my wish and my prayer for you, and that you have a wonderful new year, and that you may be healthy, and you may prosper, and have a good life. So God bless you, and have a Merry Christmas. And if I can get on, I'll get on before Christmas. But if not, all the best to you guys. God bless you.